It's your boy Too Much Drama TV. We're in the building. I didn't think I was gonna make another video, but I said, you know what? Why not? Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. Hey, like the video, comment, do all that. We're gonna go ahead and talk about Coach Prime a little bit more here. It looks like Colorado head coach Deion Sanders did an interview with USA Today. He said that Pat Shurmur most likely will be the Buffalo's offensive coordinator in 2024. He also says Shurmur Sanders is okay and he should be healthy in the spring. Cool. I have mixed feelings about Pat Shurmur. He has a track record in the NFL. I feel like Deion Sanders feels like he owes him something. He respects Pat Shurmur a lot. I don't think that's a good choice. I really don't. I mean, obviously we got to give the man, the offense did look a lot better with Pat Shurmur as far as protection wise. They didn't put up a lot of points. They had one of the hardest schedules in the NCAA. People don't realize. I believe the Pac-12 was the best conference in college football. It wasn't the SEC. It wasn't the Big 12. It wasn't the Big 10. Damn sure wasn't the ACC or the Conference USA or the Sun Belt or anything like that. It was the Pac-12. Okay. Pat Shurmur's known, for being an archaic offensive mind. Now he's going to have to adapt. Okay. They got rid of a pretty decent offensive coordinator who some people say sabotaged Shurmur Sanders. That's neither here nor there. I feel like the offense looked pretty damn good. For some reason, Shurmur Sanders started taking a lot of sacks. I don't know what happened with that. Deion Sanders said it, man. Hey, I'm not only his coach, I'm his father. My job is to protect my son. The offensive coordinator and the former offensive coordinator and the offensive line coach is now in San Diego State. So you see what's going on here. Okay. The former offensive coordinator is not only taking his, his offensive line coach, he's going to take some of his players as well that he recruited. So we see what's going on here, and that's fine. As far as Pat Shurmur goes, he is very archaic, or he's known for being archaic. He's going to have to adapt. He's going to have to protect. He's going to have to call plays to not only get first downs, but to keep people engaged. I mean, look at Oregon. Now, I have some guys here that I think should be the offensive coordinator or should at least get an interview for it. And the first guy I have is Cliff Kingsbury. I'm a fan of Cliff Kingsbury. He's from Texas. He's from New Braunfels, Texas. He played at Texas Tech. He had a cup of coffee in the league. He, was coach at Texas Tech University, his alma mater. And hell, he was even the head coach for the Arizona Cardinals. Now, he comes from the offensive mind, the offensive wizard, Mike Leach. He's under that tree. Probably one of the most innovative air raid offenses you'll ever see, man. Rest in peace to that man, Mike Leach. But Cliff Kingsbury knows how to call some offense. You get a guy like Cliff Kingsbury up there, because he's humble. He'll probably never get a head coaching job again because he butchered that Arizona job. It is what it is. But if you can get a guy like Cliff Kingsbury who has ties to Texas, who's been a head coach on the college level and in the pros, running your offense, who gives a damn about Sean Lee? Sean Lee couldn't shine Cliff Kingsbury's shoes, all right? Get a guy like Cliff Kingsbury in there. He knows a thing or two about offenses. I'm just throwing it out there. The next guy I have is Byron Leftwich. Now, he's featured there. He has a picture with Tom Brady because he was the offensive coordinator when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the Super Bowl. Well, the reason why I'm bringing Leftwich up, there are some connections here. One, Byron Leftwich was seen in Colorado several times. What the hell does Byron Leftwich and Deion Sanders have in common? I'll tell you. Tom Brady. What does Tom Brady and Deion Sanders have in common? Shurmur Sanders. Who does Shurmur Sanders want to be like? Tom Brady. Who is signed to Tom Brady's apparel brand? Shurmur Sanders. Okay? So there's some connection there. The writing was on the wall. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If I was Sean Lewis, I would have been pissed off too. I'm like, why the hell is he here? Why is Byron Leftwich here, hovering over Shedeur Sanders? Sean Lewis isn't dumb. He was probably like, well, shit, man. I mean, if he's bringing this guy in who worked with Tom Brady, Shedeur Sanders has a relationship with Tom Brady, then what the hell am I doing here? So look, there's a lot going on. There's some stuff that Deion Sanders allowed to happen that shouldn't have happened, which messes with the psyche of, the offensive coordinator, the offensive line coach, hell, the players, Shedeur Sanders thinking, he's above the team, whatever. Okay? Whatever. I'm still rocking with Deion. Again, this is his first gig as far as a head coach of a college football team. So there is some learning curves there to be had. But that's another guy that can probably get the job done. Because I'll tell you one thing, they didn't sack Tom Brady that much in Tampa Bay. They sacked the shit out of Shedeur Sanders. The next guy I have down here, the guy looks like he got electrocuted, but that motherfucker can call some offense. And that's Dana Holgorsen, okay? Formerly of West Virginia, formerly of Houston. He got let go. He's had a nice run at being a head coach. I honestly don't think this is his last rodeo. Now, I will say this. I don't think Dana Holgorsen and Deion Sanders is a good fit personality-wise, but I think Dana Holgorsen can call some offense. If you go back and look at West Virginia's offense, when they had Geno Smith, and you just go look at Houston. Dude, Geno Smith was a Heisman frontrunner, I want to say the first 5 to 6 weeks when he was at West Virginia. I believe it was his junior year. I mean, Geno Smith looked good. Geno Smith got drafted pretty high, mostly in part to this guy, Dana Holgorsen. Dana Holgorsen knows his football. Now, he may not be a head coach anymore, but that guy can call some offense. Somebody is going to scoop up these three guys. Cliff Kingsbury, Dana Holgorsen, Byron Leftwich. Byron Leftwich might be a head coach somewhere. So, I don't think Pat Shurmur should be the next offensive coordinator. But Deion Sanders, if there's one knock on Deion Sanders, is his loyalty to the NFL fraternity. Bringing Warren Sapp in. Well, guess what? Ran that other guy off. Probably the best recruiter that Deion Sanders had is now in Louisville. Okay? Bringing Warren Sapp in. Warren Sapp is a great player, but is he going to be full-time committed to coaching his defensive line? We'll see. Talking about bringing on Ed Reed. Ed Reed couldn't even handle the situation down there in Florida with the HBCU school. Can Ed Reed really coach defensive backs? Terrell Owens. Hey, I love T.O. Love him. One of my favorite athletes, despite what's been said about him. Coaching the wide receivers out there. Is T.O. really a good wide receivers coach? Is he gonna? There's a difference between going out there running routes and doing stretches with them, but actually getting in the film room. And the thing is, T.O. is known for having a brilliant mind when it comes to the game of football. So I'm not knocking him at all, but it is a commitment. And you have less athletic men that are committed to drawing up the X's and O's. Now, is Warren Sapp going to be able to do that? I mean, you might as well bring Derek Brooks. Didn't he go to Florida State? Yeah, he did go to Florida State. I mean, I'm just saying, I see what Deion's doing. Is Warren Sapp going to be able to sit in homes and recruit? Is he? I don't know. There's kids now that don't know who Warren Sapp is. And they don't give a damn who Warren Sapp is, with all the respect. Great defensive lineman, one of the best, Tampa Bay, they beat the hell out of Oakland, all right? So there is some things that Deion is doing that a lot of people are like, well, damn. Because me, I'm a Deion guy, but I got to be real. I got to be real with some of this stuff. Pat Shurmur, that is a red flag. Deion Sanders feels like he owes it to him. Deion Sanders don't owe Pat Shurmur shit. Warren Sapp. Deion Sanders doesn't owe Warren Sapp anything. Hopefully, I'm wrong. Hopefully, Pat Shurmur guides this offense to be an absolute juggernaut next year. Because he doesn't have that track record. Warren Sapp, as great as he is, let's see what he can do. Let's see what he can do. Because Nick Williams did a hell of a job. Nick Williams does a hell of a job of recruiting. He's younger. These kids can relate to him. I don't know if these kids can relate to Warren Sapp. And there's another thing, another just elephant in the room here. Sorry to get off subject, but I mean, this is my page. Who cares, right? I mean, we're still talking Coach Prime here. I don't like this whole thing about recruiting kids from just Florida and Georgia. I don't like that at all. I've always said this. I want my offensive line in cold. I want to recruit my offensive line in cold weather climates. Give some states. Colorado, Utah. Go get some Samoans. Those big. That's why Utah's always good. That's why BYU's always good. Those teams up the West Coast there, Boise State, getting those Samoans. Okay? Michigan, Illinois, Nebraska, corn-fed boys. Get your defensive line in the South. Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, Texas, Louisiana, Tennessee. You can even get a couple of guys up there in D.C. Quarterbacks, Texas, California. Special team players, California, Florida, Arizona, Tennessee. And then you get your speed. Then you get your dogs from the inner city. Dallas, Houston, Detroit, Miami, Atlanta Metro, Washington, D.C., Phoenix, Arizona, Los Angeles, Seattle. You can't get everyone from the South. A lot of those kids, yeah, it looks beautiful when you're there for a couple of weeks. But then when you got to move in there and you're snowing every single day, you're like, whoa, this is a rude awakening. Get them offensive linemen from the Midwest, man. Get some Samoans. I'm telling you, man, get some Samoans. Go look at BYU's roster. Go look at the University of Utah. Hell, go look at Arizona State, USC. Samoans all up and down that roster. Strong as an ox, plays with passion. You can't get all your players from Florida and from Georgia, man. You just can't. You just can't. Cormani McClain looks miserable there. He looks miserable. He does. He looks miserable. You know, I'm glad that they put him in a commercial because he needs NIL deals, man. Because he may still enter the transfer portal. We don't know. But I do think, and I should have, I was going to make another video about that, but I'll just talk about it now. I may make another video. Get your offensive lineman up north. Get your defensive lineman down south. You can't get everyone from Florida, man. You just can't. You just can't. You're getting scraps from Florida. You're getting the scraps. Okay? And you got this Seton kid who decided to take Colorado off of his, we all knew that. He said in an interview, man, he just wanted to meet Deion Sanders. He was not planning on going to Colorado. Deion Sanders is the hottest thing in sports media right now. Even with the decline, you still got people coming at him. Okay? So Seton did a heck of a job of getting his name out there a little more. That kid wants money. He wants to be wanted. He wants to be pampered. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, he's probably going to end up going to Ohio State, Tennessee, or something like that. Let him go. Let him go. And that's another thing. And I'm just going to say it all in this video. I was going to make videos about, no, I'm just going to talk about it all here. I love, you know, these kids coming out of high school, but they, you know, Deion said it best, man. These kids are not loyal. They change their mind all the time, and that's fine. That's the name of the game. Coaches move around. Players have a right to move around as well. You got high school coaches, you know, they win state titles and they end up going to the, you know, college ranks, and then they end up going to the pros. Okay. Kids have that option too. But guess what? The transfer portal, you got athletes that are hungry. You got athletes that want recognition. You got athletes that are they're on their last leg. They need one more chance to show what they're about. That's the difference between getting kids that are ready now and getting kids that need to be groomed, pampered, coddled. Deion Sanders, he's doing it the right way. He just got to stop focusing on Florida and Georgia. There's so many good players out there. They're just not in Florida and Georgia. Florida and Georgia, great pipeline. Don't get me wrong, but you gotta get your players up north, man. They're used to the weather. These kids were shoveling snow since the age of 5. They're used to the cold. They're used to getting hit upside their head and 40 degrees or below. Kids in Florida and Georgia ain't with all that. Defensive line, that's different. Defensive line, I do understand, but I think you can mix and match. Deion has to figure it out and get you some damn Samoans, man. I'm sorry, that sounds bad, but that culture is amazing. The discipline, the passion that the Samoan Americans play with is unbelievable. And they're all over the rosters, especially on the West Coast, especially in the mountain regions. I named them all. Go get you some Samoans. Go get you some players from the Midwest to handle that offensive line. And God, get some defensive linemen. The defensive linemen that they have now, they're just too small. Now they're bigger than most of us, they're stronger than most of us. But they got beat up last year. They got ran on. A lot of these running backs were household names after they played Colorado. Don't get me started with the secondary. Most of the secondary is from Florida. They got abused. That kid from Stanford that was eating Travis Hunter alive became a household name. We didn't hear from him after that. He had that one big game. Boosted up his stats. Kid almost had 300 yards receiving. Jerry Rice's son, who played at Colorado, had his best game against Colorado. All these damn running backs. The quarterback from Nebraska had his best game against Colorado. He was a turnover machine. Nebraska's in the transfer portal looking for a quarterback. They're going to get rid of that kid. Arizona had 2 or 3 running backs going crazy. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see, man. I think primetime can do it. I think this love affair with Florida and he should have got the UCF job or something like that. If we want to be in Florida that bad, but this love affair with Florida, and Georgia, I get it, but man, there's more out there, man. There's more out there. There's kids in Texas. Dallas, Houston, hell, even San Antonio and Austin have players ready to go. They got big boys down there too. I hope that Deion Sanders and his staff recruit good and they get the players they need in the transfer portal because they're going to need them. Because there's going to be some kids it's not going to be to the magnitude of last year when the whole damn team, except for like 8 players, there'll be less than that. There's going to be a lot of kids that are going to leave Colorado. And guess what? A lot of those kids that are leaving will never see a roster. They're going to be sitting there in the transfer portal hoping. Or they're going to go to a lower level school. They'll end up somewhere in Marshall, West Virginia somewhere. So some of these, especially them damn offensive linemen, they hit the portal like that. Somebody's really going to pick them up. Now, I will say, Sean Lee might pick them up. I have a theory before I get off of here. I'm going to say most of the kids that are leaving the portal will end up in San Diego State if there's room for them, because San Diego State was not that good. They already know the offense. Sean Lee recruited some of these kids. They're going to end up. San Diego State will be better than they were this year, because all San Diego State was missing was an offense. They've always historically had a great defense. They just never had an offense. They've always had mediocre quarterbacks. Sean Lewis, say what you want. He knows offense. San Diego State will go to a bowl game next year. He did it with Kent State, even though that Kent State was playing in the MAC. You know, the MAC is the MAC. You know, the MAC is the MAC. So we'll see what happens, man. I'm excited that I'm able to just talk football with you guys, talk some Coach Prime, because it's 50-50 down the middle. You got, people that dislike Coach Prime as a man, not even as a coach, but as a man. But now, and then you have people that don't like him as a man and as a, they've never liked him. Said he runs his mouth, he's arrogant, he's this, he's that. I mean, one of my favorite wrestlers was Ric Flair. Ric Flair is the most beloved athlete, and he ran his mouth in the ring. He talked about how flashy he was. And everybody wants a piece of Ric Flair. But Deion Sanders does it. It's a different story. And I understand Deion Sanders is a leader of young men. I get that. But, there's got to be some double standards there. And Ric Flair loves Deion Sanders. So there's just got to be some double standards eventually. I mean, Deion Sanders is not that bad of a guy. The guy took a team that won 1 game and they won 4 games. They could have won 6 or 7 games easily. They should have beat Stanford. They had their 2, you can argue, their 2 top players from both sides of the ball. Each side of the ball there. Offense, Travis Hunter. Defense, Travis Hunter / Shiloh Sanders. Out. They could have beat UCLA. Hell, they could have beat Utah. They called 2 touchdowns back. Just imagine they would have beat USC. They would have beat Utah. And they would have beat Stanford. We'd be having a different conversation right now. I don't think Sean Lewis would have left. I don't think some of these kids would have left. I think, they probably would have been forced out, but we have a whole, are you kidding me? They would be a 7 or 8 win team. And you think people would have been celebrating Deion now? People are lucky that he didn't beat USC. People are lucky he didn't beat Utah. People are lucky that they blew that lead against Stanford. We would be having a whole different conversation. Hell, a 7-win Colorado team, they probably would have got a bid to the Cotton Bowl. It's not, they got blown out twice. They got annihilated by Washington State. I think they got beat worse with Washington State than they did with Oregon. But other than that, 10 points or less. One possession games. Think about that. Before you guys sit here and say, stop it. He only won 4 games. Go back and look and see how close those games were. Go back and see who was missing in those games. That Colorado State game was so emotional. There was all kind of cheap shots. But the main one was the one that took out probably one of the top players in all of college football, the top 2-way player, and one of the most dynamic college football players this past season. I don't think there's probably a couple other players, but Travis Hunter was dynamic. And then when he came back, When he came back, yeah, he got torched. He got torched a little bit. I will say he got torched by that kid from Stanford. He did. But he got his on the offensive end. I think what Deion Sanders is trying to do, he's going to try to get these two-way players because Travis Hunter needs help. He needs two Travis Hunters. He needs two more Travis Hunters. I mean, they're pretty good they're pretty deep at receiver. I think the running backs, McCaskill, Dylan Brooks, who I like, I think he should move to receiver. That's just me. I think he should be like a slot receiver because he's too small, man. But I mean, they gotta be more. Hell, that kid had a breakout game against TCU and he just disappeared because they're not using him. They're not utilizing him correctly. But what do I know? I just watched the games, so what do I know, man? Anyway, it's great talking to you guys. We're gonna get back on here. We're gonna talk some more football. Holla at your boy. Make sure you guys comment. Make sure you guys subscribe. Check out the other videos. Look, my shorts, I'm not going to lie, they're quirky, but, I get to voice my opinion. You may agree, you may disagree, but what do you guys think about this video? I kind of went off the rails talking Pat Shurmur, then I got into all this other stuff, but let me know what you think. Leave some feedback. Share the video. Let me know what you think. Have a great day. Peace.